what is happening in real estate here in Chicagoland in May of 2026. If you have been waiting to buy or sell your home, there's a few things happening right now that you should be aware of before you make a final decision. Hi, my name's Elyse, and for the past 10 years, I've been helping families in Plainfield, Oswego, and the surrounding suburbs make great decisions about real estate. Interest rates right now are pretty much where they have been for the last year. They have gone up just a touch, not a major amount, not enough to really move the needle in one direction or the other. You may hear some people saying that they're lower than they have been, and others saying that they're higher than they have been. And the reason for that is because one, they fluctuate minute to minute, and two, they just haven't changed enough to really be newsworthy, and so people are kind of trying to do what they can to get a little attention around them. For the best qualified buyers, we're seeing rates in the upper 6% right now. Inventory remains low in most segments. We have a lot of sellers that are still locked into these really low interest rates that are having a hard time letting go of that in order to absorb a higher interest rate. These sellers are also a little bit nervous about where they're going to go. So with the exception of people that are moving out of state, we are seeing a lot of sellers that just don't have an opportunity to buy another home because they're buying into an equally competitive market. Now, on that note, if you are planning on selling in Chicagoland and want to move somewhere south, specifically Florida and Arizona, there are fantastic incentives happening in those areas right now, and it really could be a great time to capitalize on our high sales market and their low purchase market. Otherwise, we're seeing an absolute lack of inventory and move-in ready homes, and those are the ones that are really in high demand right now. Now, if you're open to a house that needs a little bit of updates and a little bit of maybe TLC or even just some basic cosmetic care, those ones aren't quite as in demand right now, and you really could find yourself with a fantastic opportunity to build long-term equity. Buyers are still coming in strong for the right homes. Now, those right homes are the ones that are move-in ready. They've been updated. They don't have any major mechanical challenges. Everything is basically turnkey. They can move in, they can set their things down and spend the next 5 years really living in the home before they have to worry about it. The properties that need a little bit of love, whether that is they actively have problems with them or something as simple as it's got an older furnace and air conditioner, those are having a little bit of trouble right now. And it's not because the buyers aren't there. It's because they come in and they see the home and they start adding up the dollars and cents associated with their down payment, their closing costs, and any of those mechanical repairs that they may need to take on as well. And let's face it, right now with the current state of the economy, a lot of people just don't have that extra cash to spend. Now, a lot of sellers on the flip side are starting to have a bit of a coming to Jesus moment because they're realizing that unless their home is one of those picture perfect, move-in ready showroom homes, they may have some challenges with selling. We're seeing more sellers have to invest a good amount of money to prep their home for sale. And it's not because they're upgrading the kitchen, it's because they're removing the things that are scary. And even with that, if they haven't checked all of those boxes and fixed all of those items or replaced all of those older mechanicals, even if they're in working shape, they may still come back to haunt them down the line. By and large, one of our biggest opportunities for buyers is for a buyer that is willing to purchase a home in a good location that needs a little bit of updating. If you are willing to take on those updates and upgrades on your own, you have a far less competitive market with plenty of opportunity for long-term equity growth. Unless we see major changes in the economy, I don't see interest rates going down anytime soon. And I've been saying this for a couple years now. Interest rates are one of the only things that the Fed has to slow down or speed up the economy. And right now, with inflation still being high and jobs reports still coming in higher, we are seeing no reason for the Fed to reduce interest rates. Here's the interesting thing about the jobs report. So when the Fed is reporting on jobs, one of the biggest things that is boosting the jobs report is healthcare workers. Almost all of the new jobs that are coming in are coming in healthcare, which makes sense with an aging population of baby boomers that just have higher needs for those things. So if you are in healthcare, you're probably not struggling to find a job. However, if you're not in healthcare, you might be struggling a little bit, or you may have heard of people having challenges. None of that matters when we are looking at just blanket numbers across the country, which is how those decisions around rate cuts are made. There is still a fantastic program out there for first-time home buyers. First-time home buyer means anyone who has not owned a home in the last 3 years. This will allow them to get up to 6% or $15,000, whichever is less, of the purchase price of their home interest-free to use towards their down payment and closing costs. We're seeing a lot of buyers take advantage of this. What it does is it doesn't add into your monthly payment. There's no interest paid on it. It's simply due when you sell your home or refinance. And we're seeing a lot of savvy buyers use this to bridge the gap on some of those homes that may need a new furnace or a new air conditioner. What I'm telling my buyers right now is either make peace with the fact that you're gonna have to make some cosmetic updates to a home or go in ready to fight. Here's what sellers in Chicagoland need to know in May of 2026. Pricing matters more than ever right now. And it's not just the price of your home, it's the price of your home as it relates to the condition of the home, as it relates to the micro segment of buyers looking to purchase your home, as it relates to the exact date that it goes on the calendar. Really get one shot in this market to knock it out of the park with your pricing. And you need to make sure that all of those things align if you want to maximize the sale price of your home. That means that we're not only fixing the scary things, but we may need to start updating some of the older things, even if they work well. That means that if there's no problem with your roof, but it's 20 years old, you might want to look into some options. The great thing about that is there are ways that you can go about getting a new roof without paying $30,000 out of pocket. And if you want to talk about that, drop your information below and I'll absolutely talk you through that. You may also need to consider putting in a new set of appliances if your appliances are older, or looking into what it costs to replace an aging furnace. Those are things that are really starting to move the needle forward as the economy gets tighter and people are starting to feel that squeeze on their cash. The homes that are moving quickly are the ones that are updated, upgraded, they look like they've come out of a showroom. A lot of them have been professionally staged. They're really pulling on those emotional heartstrings of the buyers. Because make no mistake, there are still buyers out there that have large down payments and large budgets and are looking for a home that they can move right into. The homes that are sitting are the ones that don't have proper marketing, that aren't staged well, or they don't elicit that emotional feeling when a buyer walks in the front door, or the ones that need significant amount of updates. What I'm seeing locally in Plainfield and Oswego is still a lot of fantastic opportunity in new construction homes. And the reason for that is because these builders have massive carrying costs with the developments that they are building these homes in. And so it's very much in their best interest to move the properties. Now, the properties that are going to have the best incentives are the ones that are already finished or nearly finished. So you may not have the opportunity to pick your finish. However, typically those units have finishes that appeal to most buyers. They're going to have the quartz or granite countertops, the LVP flooring. They're going to have a little bit of updates and upgrades. They're going to feel like a beautiful brand new home. We're seeing some builders offer interest rates below 5% on these properties. Now, there's some caveats to new construction. You need to go into it with your eyes wide open and understand what that purchase looks like, but it can provide a really good opportunity right now. If you're looking to buy in Plainfield and Oswego, the greatest opportunity for affordability continues to be in those fringe areas. And what I mean by a fringe area is an area that feeds into the school system but doesn't share the same town. For Plainfield, that's going to be homes that feed into District 202 but have either a Romeoville or a Joliet address. And for Oswego, that's going to be homes that feed into District 308 but typically have a Montgomery address. We have massive opportunities in there. You're going to get the same size of home, very similar finishes depending on the age that it was built to a comparable home in town, but the value is going to be anywhere from $20,000 to $60,000 less. But if value is the major needle mover for you, it could be a great opportunity. Talk a little bit about the emotions here and how everyone's feeling. Buyers are exhausted. They're putting in anywhere from 1 to 15 offers before they get one accepted, especially if they want those move-in ready homes. We're starting to see buyers really have to come to terms with sacrifices. And what those sacrifices are will vary from buyer to buyer, but most buyers are making more sacrifices now than they were 3 years ago. They've done all the prep. They've been proactive with things, and they're still seeing things come up. We're also seeing more and more homes go under contract and then come back on the market, which is really challenging and really frustrating for sellers as well. And I chalk all that up to the heightened emotions and the stress of our current economic situation. One thing that I'm really watching right now is affordability of the general day-to-day experience. With gas currently sitting over $5 a gallon, it's really hard for people to stretch their budgets on a home. I anticipate that as that starts to come down, which as far as I understand it will be once this war passes, things will start to move again a little bit faster. You'll start seeing a little bit more flexibility and buyers will be a little bit more open to some of those projects or some of those items that may need updating within the next 1 to 3 years. If you're trying to figure out what any of this means specifically, click the link below. We are here to help.